Hello, travelers and monster catchers abound. I'm Stella Ferris, and this is a Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Today's episode isn't about a glyph with claws, nor is it about one that takes to the sky. No, today's glyph is, wait, what was I looking for again? Strange. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I better consult Dr. Lang's Glyphopedia. Let's see. Nope, that's Orabeak. Not Reaperfish either. Glassweb? That can't be right. Cryptoglyphs aren't even meant to be cataloged. Here we go. Mimimirror. How? Where do I even start? To catch a Mimimirror, we had to head east deep into the Inado Desert. That place is no joke, you know. Sandstorms sharp as knives and heat like you've angered the twin suns themselves. At the far edge of it lies the Crystal Cavern, a vast network of naturally formed mirrors in living glass. Local legend says that if you whisper your name too loud in the tunnels, something might whisper it backwards. While Luna packed snacks like grapes stuffed with cloudberries and desert melon slices, her glyph Mirno helped wrap them in cooling vines. Zena double-checked the traps and made sure our pyramid-shaped glyphids were synced and powered. Ignazura, glowing with sapphire light, curled protectively around her bag. I checked my own team. Orabeak perched proudly on my shoulder, always ready. Kefla, my glowing fish glyph, was not part of the team anymore. He was out of the rotation. Zentronaut, Shadowclaw, and Chaos Serpent. Oh, and my final glyph. And Nepheron Blaze. They were already loaded in their glyphids, all except for Orabeak. He sat perched on my shoulder. We climbed into the hovercraft and launched into the air, my two best friends by my side and the world stretched out beneath us. We soared across the citrine sea, its golden waters glittering in the sunlight like liquid treasure. The waves hummed with music only Kefla could hear. We skimmed the edges of the cursed woods where vines reached upward like hands desperate for touch. And we flew high over Luan Academy, our old school, our only school, and our beloved school. I swear I caught Professor Orient's glaring eyes watching up at us as we passed. Or maybe it was just a mirage. To be fair, we are pretty ambitious. Finally, we reached the sand-scattered entrance to the Crystal Caverns. I tapped Orabeak gently. I brought you out here early. My friend, I know you won't let me down. Ch-ch-coo-oo! Ch-ch-coo-oo! Orabeak chirped, his golden beak flashing in the sunlight. We trudged into the desert, heat swirling like ghosts around us. That's when the ground rumbled beneath our feet. Without warning, a huge bug erupted from the sand, a speed roller, like a massive desert roly-poly, plated in obsidian shells. It curled and launched towards us faster than I thought possible. Orabeak, use Pharaoh's voice. I covered my ears as I said. The screech that followed shattered a dune crest, halting speed rolling mid-spin. Mirno, stampede, Luna commanded. Ignazura, gem slash, Zena added. In a fury of vines, gemstones, and echoing roars, speed roller collapsed, dazed and defeated. But as we approached the Crystal Caverns, something else began gnawing at me. A feeling, something not quite right. We passed through the narrow entrance, and immediately we were surrounded by walls of mirrored glass. A reflection shimmered. Dozens of Stella Ferrises and Lunas and Zenas, and their glyphs staring back with a slight delay. The deeper we went, the more distorted our images became. Some of them blinked when we didn't. Finally, we found it. A perfect mirror, standing alone on a pedestal of broken crystal. Zena stepped forward. Is that it? Luna nodded. It's not a glyph in the traditional sense. Mimirror. It's alive. Not really, but it has intent. It remembers. I stepped towards the mirror, just inside the 5-foot radius. That's when everything changed. The world rippled. The air turned still. And I was pulled inward. Not physically, not entirely, but my mind, my senses. I was inside. It felt like a dream. Soft grass underfoot, glowing stars in a violet sky, but everything had a mirrored tint. I looked down. My reflection stared back from the grass itself. Every blade shimmered like glass. The sky was upside down. Stars drifting beneath my feet. It wasn't just a dream. It was a memory, emotion, judgment. Then I saw them. A figure ahead, walking slowly across a pond that reflected the moonlight like liquid silver. They turned and my breath caught in my throat. It was me, a younger version of me, standing beside a familiar glyph, but something was wrong. The glyph was Orabeak, and it wasn't. I thought that these glyphs were supposed to show you your first glyph. So why was I seeing Orabeak? Come far, they said. Voice a perfect echo of mine. But you forgot the promise. What promise? I asked, stepping closer. That you'd never stop being curious. That you'd never forget why you started this journey. You made it to be close to them. To connect. But now, you're chasing something else. I'm still me, I said. Though I wasn't sure I believed it. I still protect them. I still care. The dark Orabeak stepped forward. Then prove it. Suddenly the mirrored world warped. I was back in the desert, but twisted. The citrine sea boiled black behind me, and the sky was shattered like a broken dish. The younger me disappeared, replaced by a mirrored army of distorted versions of all my glyphs. Centronaut with extra limbs and a fractured helmet. Chaos Serpent knotted and gnashing, made of smoke and teeth. Kefla flickered like a dying light, and in the center, dark Orabeak. They rushed me. I didn't fight back. I couldn't fight back. Instead, I took a breath and whispered, You're part of me. I'm not ashamed of you. The mirrored glyph froze. I'm not perfect, but I love every step that brought me here. Even the wrong ones. Even the parts I still don't understand. A pause. The world around me began to shift. The sky turned smooth. The sea calmed. The broken reflections melted into ripples. The dark Orabeak nodded, then vanished into a burst of golden light, and I fell. I gasped, stumbling backwards from the pedestal. Luna caught me. You okay? She asked, wide-eyed. Zena was already scanning me with her glyph radar. I'm fine, I said. I was tested. There was a ping from my belt. One of my glyphs glowed softly. The new one. Mimimirror. Didn't pulse like the others. It shimmered. Smooth and flawless like glass, but with small cracks along its sides. Reminders of the world it showed me. It accepted me, I said softly. Zena gave me a long look, or maybe it just let you go. Later that night, I sat with Luna and Zena on the sanctuary porch. The moons glowed low in the sky, and the wind carried the scent of fresh dune blossoms. Luna leaned on my shoulder, half asleep. Zena tinkered with one of the glyph radars. Mimir's glyph rested on the table in front of us, quietly reflecting the stars. Some glyphs claw, some fly, some speak. But Mimimirror remembers. It shows you not what you fear, but what you are. You're brave enough to look. And next time, we'll face a glyph with no face at all. Maybe. Or maybe they'll have some talons, or maybe they'll have wings. But let me get into the story, the part of the story where we talk to Professor Orion about my catch. The next day, I returned to school and I decided that I would tell Professor Orion about my catch because I always tell him about my catches. And most of the time he gets mad because he thinks that I'm catching the dangerous glyphs on purpose or something. Footsteps echoed down the curved marble halls of Luan Academy's East Wing. I walked briskly, Mimirror's glyphid secure in my satchel. The heavy oak door at the end is cracked open. Inside, the air smells of ink, dust, and ozone. Papers rustle, a telescope points towards the veil of eternity. The day after we had caught Mimimirror, I knew I had to speak with someone who might understand what happened inside the mirror world. Or maybe somebody who might actually lecture me, but someone who studied glyphs before they were even called glyphs. Professor Orion. I knocked once and entered. Professor Orion stands behind a desk strewn with scrolls and half-dismantled tech. You're back sooner than I expected. I figured the desert might eat you alive. It almost did, but we caught Mimimirror. Orion finally turns. His expression is unreadable. Cold blue eyes flickered in the glyphid in my hand. You touched it. More than that, I pulled it in. There was a trial. I saw a version of me I'd forgot about. That mirror is older than any in Dr. Lang's Glyphopedia. It predates the catching age. Mimiring isn't a creature. Mimimirror is a relic, a remnant of the Vel's original stitching woven with memory and regret. I've heard this before. So it's not just a test, it remembers. Yes, and it chooses who to release. You're lucky. Some students have gone missing and they're drawn in by curiosity and never returned. Why didn't you tell us? You knew we were going there. I had my suspicions, but you never listened, Stella Ferris. You chase ghosts. You always have. You're just upset I proved it's more than myth, that the catchers of today can face things you studied from behind glass. You saw something of yourself in the mirror, didn't you? A pause. I nod. I saw what I might become if I lose sight of why I started. If I let fear or pride twist what matters. Then Mimimirror did its job. It doesn't trap. It teaches, harshly. But it only reveals what's already there. He stands and walks over, placing a small object on the desk. A faded photo of a younger Orion standing near the Crystal Caverns. Another student at his side, long gone. Shows me, my brother. Told me I'd never be brave enough to forgive him. I never did. Do you still hear it? Every time I look in the mirror. A long silence ensued before I said something. Thanks, Professor. Orion nods once. Keep the glyph hidden. When you travel, there are factions who'd give everything to look inside their own past and tear the world apart in the process. Still, I turn to leave, but I stop at the door. You were wrong, by the way. I do listen. Not always to you. But I do listen. That's what makes you dangerous, Stella Ferris. And needed. I finally headed home because I had already talked to Professor Orion. And, well, he actually didn't yell at me this time. I was kind of surprised with that. The wind hums low through the reeds that surround my sanctuary. The 3 moons glinted off of the still water of the koi pond that I had just put in. Fireflies drifted lazily in the garden. I wrapped myself in a knit shawl while I sat alone on the porch, sipping sweet root tea from a cracked mug. A few days had passed since Mimimirror joined us, and the world had stayed quiet, too quiet. Luna was out back with Myrno, dancing under the moonlight. Zena had fallen asleep at her desk again, a gemstone magnifier still tucked behind her ear. I thought the night would pass like any other, until I heard the hum, a soft whirling mechanical buzz from beyond the tree line. I narrowed my eyes and stood up, setting the mug down gently, footsteps measured and careful, crunch over the gravel path. Professor Orion steps into the moonlight, waving a travel cloak and holding a small, wrapped parcel. Didn't expect to see you here. I didn't expect to come yet. Here I am, Orion said. He looks around, taking in the carved wooden balcony, the overgrown garden, glowing faintly with bioluminescent glyph moss. You've built something extraordinary out here. I can see why they follow you. They don't follow me. We walk together, I replied. Orion gives a slight nod, stepping onto the porch. From his pocket, he pulls a small tool and brushes his fingers over the glyph resting on the table. Mimimirror glows faintly. Its polished surface flickered with impossible depths. I dreamt of it, for 3 nights straight, not the glyph. The place. That mirror world. Did it say anything? I asked. No, but it watched like it knew I hadn't faced what I should have years ago. He sits beside me, looking older than before, weathered, like the desert had gotten into his bones. Why'd you come? I ask. Because I think Mimimirror is more than a relic, more than a glyph. It's evolving, it's watching. It wants something. Then why give it to us? I ask. Because I trust you, despite everything. A beat? For a beat, I study Orion carefully. You're afraid of what's coming, aren't you? I ask. Orion doesn't speak for a moment, then he reaches into his cloak and unwraps the parcel. Inside is a small shard of black glass, humming with unstable energy. This was found in the crypt plane waste, where no glyph should survive. That's a fragment of a second mirror. One not bound to memory, but to intention. A glyph that shows not who you are, but what you're capable of. The shard pulsed once in my direction, then dimmed again. I believe someone or something is trying to rebuild them, all of them, and not for reflection. For control? I ask. Exactly, Orion replied. Another long silence ensued. Only the distant call of the dusk bird stirs the air. Then we need to move if there's another mirror glyph out there. We have to find it before they do. Agreed. I'll notify the others, but this time, Stella Ferris, he turns to look me dead in the eye. You'll need more than heart to survive this one. You'll need to choose who you trust and who you leave behind. I stand slowly, the glyph slowly pulsing with starlight. Because I had sat down, just minutes ago to talk to Orion. We're not alone, Orion. We never have been. We both turn towards the distant mountains, where storm clouds begin to gather, and somewhere, something mirrored stirs awake. Inside the sanctuary, the lights have went out, so I light a table lantern as Zena and Luna gather around the central planning table. A large parchment map of Nibiru is rolled out, weighed at the corners with stones etched in old glyphid script. Professor Orion stands nearby, his cloak now hung by the door, his expression grim. We didn't sleep that night. The second mirror shared. Orion brought us pulsed faintly on the table, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to anyone or anything in the room. Whatever this new glyph was, it wasn't a twin. It was something older, wilder, more dangerous. The crypt plane wastes are expanding. This river here going dry in less than 2 weeks. The Academy's weather satellite reported warped wind patterns, like reflections of storms that don't exist, Zena pointed out. It's cold, not icy, empty, like it's trying to forget itself. Luna pressed 2 fingers to the shard. That's because the glyph doesn't show who we are. It erases who we were. It's not memory-based like Mimirror. It's refraction, a prism, that twist intention into obsession. Then it's, Professor Orion said, then it's not just a glyph, it's a weapon. I said. Orion gives me a slow, solemn nod. We'll need backup. I'll reach out to the drift hunters in Glassroot Gulch. They've been tracking strange signals near the crystal dunes. If this shard belongs to something larger, then they'll know. Do you think someone made it? Luna quietly asked. Maybe. Or maybe it made itself out of all the forgotten pieces we left behind. And that was all that was said for the final part of that night. No one had said or uttered another word. We all went to sleep. And Orion went home. The twin suns and the 3 moons were hanging in their normal spots the next day over the Glyph Bay. I walked alone to the ridge overlooking the sea, where glyphits are docked in their resting stations, each glowing faintly, responding to their catcher's energy. Orabeak flutters down beside me, chirping curiously. The golden scarab presses its beak gently to my temple. You saw it too, didn't you? The other side of us. Orabeak emits a low, harmonic hum. Mimir's glyphid flickers at my hip as though echoing the feeling. We were heading into a place where thoughts could become storms and reflections could become rivals. Well, we wouldn't go unarmed because we didn't want to get harmed. Elsewhere, far from the sanctuary, a figure cloaked in crimson and jet black robes kneels beside a cracked floating shard of obsidian around them. Dozens of glyphits warp and, humming with mirror energy, hover slightly. They place their hand over a glowing relic, another mirror shard, stitched together with silver thread and blood ink. The figure whispers in a forgotten tongue. Soon the refractions will see the truth. There are no catchers, only keepers. And all light cast a shadow, the mysterious voice whispered. Next time, on the Monster Catcher's Journal, we enter the crypt plane waste. We search for the glyph that was never meant to be found, and we uncover the truth about our own reflections. We might never come back from. Until then, keep your glyphits close and your heart guarded, and if your thoughts begin speaking in your voice, don't answer them.